Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. While WWE didn't seem to really care about the post-TLC episode of Monday Night Raw, they've gone all out for this Friday's Christmas Day episode of SmackDown, loading up the show with Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns in a steel cage, an Intercontinental title match between Sami Zayn and Big E, and, of course, all the Charlotte flair. All hail the Omni Flair. Can't wait just a few more days to open those presents? Well, neither can the internet, because all the results have already been spoiled. Surprisingly, Ebenezer McMahon has actually given his roster Christmas Day off, meaning they pre-taped Friday's episode of SmackDown yesterday, where Thunderdome attendee Jack Foley has posted exactly what happened throughout the show on the F4W Online board. This, of course, contains spoilers, so use the timestamps in the video description below if you want to maintain a childlike innocence of wonder. Or stay here, because we're entering the spoiler room brawl in 3, 2, Kenny Omega turned up and beat Roman Reigns for the Universal title. Just kidding, 1. The show opened big on the Reigns vs Owens steel cage match, thought to be a good way to keep the audience from the previous NFL game on Fox. Roman retained after Jey Uso handcuffed KO to the cage in what is said to be a really good match. Charlotte Flair and Asuka then defended their women's tag titles against the teams of Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, and Bayley and Carmella in a triple threat elimination match. Banks not only dropped her championship during her entrance, where she apparently mouthed, "We're gonna edit this out," but also seemingly hit Charlotte straight in the face with a Meteora and nearly killed herself with a very bad head scissors to Carmella's sommelier. It's hard to say. Sasha eliminated Bayley and Carmella first, and then Charlotte pinned Belair to retain, because of course she did. Apparently the Riot Squad were watching on from backstage, so that will likely be a future tag team title feud. Daniel Bryan managed to beat Jey Uso even though Jey attacked him before their match. And the main event was the Lumberjack match for the Intercontinental title, which included your standard SmackDown mid-card wrestlers filling in outside, like Cesaro, Nakamura, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, and also one Raw wrestler in Angel Garza. Wildcard rule! Sparking speculation that Garza might have been moved across to the blue brand the same week he made his return on Raw, beating Drew Gulak. After Sami tried to escape though, the babyface Lumberjacks carried him back to the ring, where Big E beat him with a big ending to become the new Intercontinental Champion, ending on the uplifting visual of Big E celebrating with all the babyfaces while confetti rained down. Are you excited for a Big E title run? And who do you want to see him feud with first? Let me know in the comments down below, where I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere, saying it will definitely be King Corbin. Big E as Intercontinental Champion feuding with Roman's family could also work really well though, which could be setting another place at the table soon, with reports of several WWE stars nearing their returns. During an Instagram interview, Jey Uso has revealed his brother and tag team partner Jimmy will be returning to action definitely soon, man. January or February, I must say. And that Jimmy and potentially more will be joining him and Roman at the family table. We've got cousins. They're lined up behind us. They're ready, and they're gonna be 10 times more powerful than we are. Which is true, because if you know anything about Samoan wrestling dynasties, they're all related to each other. Dr. Dwayne Johnson to the family confirmed. But Jimmy isn't the only person nearing a return, as WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus has also spoken about working again for the company. Talking to the Women's Wrestling Talk podcast, she revealed that she's had talks with Matt Bloom, aka her former TNA, not that TNA, partner Prince Albert, and NXT's head trainer, about working with developmental talent. And it's also being rumoured that Braun Strowman will be ready to return ahead of schedule after tweeting, "I am inevitable, and soon I will snap my fingers. The monster is coming. Braunos, Mad Titan." with a video of him looking pretty shredded. Strowman was kayfabe suspended after headbutting Adam Pearce on the Raw after Survivor Series, which was actually just a cover-up for a knee injury he picked up during the men's elimination match. Randy Orton, meanwhile, can burn a man to death on a pay-per-view and doesn't even get a fine. And, as he's tweeted, what better to accompany murdering someone live than a binge of your new favourite Disney Plus show? Listen, I know it's late. I know I burned a man alive a couple of days ago and I shouldn't be trusted. But whatever you do, don't sleep on The Mandalorian. Just started season 1 and I think I'm in love with Baby Yoda. You're exposing the business, Randy Orton. Turns out though that murder equals ratings, as Monday's post-TLC episode of Raw was up to 1.69 million viewers, significantly higher than the previous week's record low rating of 1.53 million. AEW, meanwhile, might have the secret to increasing their own viewership. Just show up everywhere. Kenny Omega didn't only win the AEW Championship at the start of this month, he also partnered with Impact co-executive vice president Don Callis and started showing up on their weekly shows as part of his new belt collector style gimmick, promising to go from promotion to promotion and win their top titles. After announcing Impact's Hard to Kill pay-per-view will feature Omega teaming with his Bullet Club buddies Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson against Impact World Champion Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns, Two-Tone, made up of AEW president Tony Khan and commentator Tony Schiavone, bought another paid ad on last night's episode. Khan said he could easily stop Omega showing up on Impact if he wanted to by filing an injunction, but he wanted to see it happen, and not just that. You know what, Impact Wrestling? You want Kenny Omega here wrestling your people? That's fine with me. Tomorrow night, Wednesday Night Dynamite, you're welcome to send some of your people to my show. This week anyway. With the main event of Dynamite set to be the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, Khan specifically teased Impact's tag division. I understand you have some tag teams here yourself, Impact Wrestling. I might look around and see what they're up to, what their contractual status is. Played over shots of the Good Brothers, Motor City Machine Guns, and the North. If anyone shows up tonight, Gallows and Anderson makes the most sense given their possible alignment with Omega over the Young Bucks, after Matt and Nick Jackson didn't join Kenny back at All Out, which Don Callis is now referring to as the Super Elite on Twitter, which will probably upset the standard issue regular Elite. Gallows and Anderson attacking the Bucks is also over a year and a half in the making, as that was the originally planned closing segment of the first episode of Dynamite last October, but the Good Brothers decided to re-sign with WWE instead. But even doing some of the coolest stuff in wrestling right now can't win over everyone, as one wrestling fan tweeted about the original All-In event. Ah yes, the start of the crime that has been perpetrated on professional wrestling. This birthed the abomination that is AEW, a dark day indeed. Which brought a reply from out of nowhere from AEW co-executive vice president himself, Cody Rhodes. I mean, this day bettered the wrestling economy and QOL standards for an entire industry, so no matter what way you shake it, a great day in our history. Ah yes, the QOL standards. Google what's QOL. Queen's Online Login! Damn, that's a specific benefit! This prompted several more replies and debate, where Cody argued the positive changes to the wrestling business and its performers have already been seen in better contract leverage, and the fan offered a word of advice that if you're going to respond to marks on Twitter, it should only be to tell them to F off. So Cody was the better man. We have grown tenfold in global penetration, social, Nielsen's. We received an extension from our partner in the space. Don't mistake somebody's entertainment podcast for facts. Everything I'm saying is documented. The sky is blue, that shouldn't offend you. Watch and you'll love it. Elsewhere in wrestling, Maria Kanellis has made her return to Ring of Honor after her husband Mike Bennett reunited the Kingdom with Matt Taven there last month. Rhea announced The Experience in January, which appears to be where fans can vote for title contenders and stipulations. So Taboo Tuesday. Lana has told the New York Post that her being put through tables every week for 2.5 months wasn't because WWE were punishing her for her husband Miro showing up in AEW, and following the tragic passing of Shad Gaspard back in May, where he was swept away by a strong current while swimming in the sea off Venice Beach. His widow Ciliana has filed a lawsuit against the state of California, the city of Los Angeles, and the Los Angeles County, alleging negligence that led to her husband's death. According to LA Daily News, she claims the beach had insufficient warning signs about the dangers of swimming in that area, and that the lifeguards were understaffed and not properly trained. Meanwhile, Shelton Benjamin has dedicated his Raw Tag Team title win at TLC to Gaspard. You can remember all the wrestling stars we sadly lost this year by watching the video in the top of the description. And that's me done for 2020, everyone. It's been a weird one, but I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's watched WrestleTalk, Parts Unknown, or Phenomenerds this year, anyone who's bought something from WrestleShop, our amazing pledge hammers on Patreon, and everyone who's visited WrestleTalk.com for all their latest breaking wrestling news. We brought on Adam Blompier this year, we launched Quizzlemania, we raised over £50,000 for various charities and independent wrestling, and most importantly, above all of that, I am your Jam That Champion. I'd like to say I couldn't have done it without you, but I totally did. And I'm going to hold this baby all the way through 2021. Also, don't worry, our usual schedule is pretty much uninterrupted. We've got WrestleTalk News episodes with Luke, Laurie and Pete. Laurie making his return to the WrestleTalk News after I beat him for the Jam That Championship. All our usual podcasts and loads of best of 2020 lists. I know what you want. And right now, you want a video of WrestleTalk.com editor Randy Andy Datson telling you how to make Vince pies. Jam that jam. Jam that jammus.
Add 365 grams of plain flour, 260 grams of soft butter. Mix it until it looks like big old breadcrumbs. Add 125 grams of caster sugar and 1 beaten egg. And then mix it all up with your hands and a spoon until it looks a bit like a big old ball. Knead that dough for 5 minutes and then shove it in the fridge for at least 10 so that it gets nice and firm for rolling later. Grab your frying pan and plop in 125 grams of butter. Add 400 grams of mixed raisins and currants, 1 diced apple, 1 lemon rind and 1 sliced satsuma. Chuck in 100 grams of mixed peel, the juice of a lemon and a teaspoon of mixed spice. Then give it a good mix. Plop in 225 grams of light brown sugar. And then give it another good mix. Add 200 milliliters of brandy or rum. And then leave to cool completely. Jam that jam. Roll out your dough to about 3 milliliters thick and then cut out a bunch of 10 centimeter circles, as many pies as you want. Roll it out again and then cut the lids, which will be 7 centimeter circles. Put the bases into a cupcake tin and then fill with your pre-made and now cooled filling. Brush the edges with a beaten egg. And then put the lids on top. Brush your lids with the same beaten egg, sprinkle with sugar, and then poke a couple of holes in the top. Bake it in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius or 390 Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. And there you go, some Vince pies.
What are the 10 most shocking wrestling gimmick changes this year? Click the video on the right to find out. And 2 top AEW stars have revealed that WWE offered them huge money deals to join. Click the video beneath that to find out who. I've been Mr. Davis. Give WrestleTalk a subscribe for Christmas. Jam that jam.